She became the youngest cabinet minister at 33 and broke every glass ceiling in Trinidad politics. But her journey from a small-town girl to a $12 million powerhouse is more shocking than you think. Born on May 12, 1958, in the quiet neighborhood of Petit Valley, Trinidad, Camille Robinson-Regis had no idea she would one day become one of the most powerful women in Caribbean politics. Her parents, Charles Richard Irvine and Doris Janetta Robinson, raised her with strong values and a love for education. As a young girl attending Bishop Anstey High School, Camille showed early signs of brilliance. She wasn't just another student in the crowd. She was sharp, determined, and hungry for knowledge. While other kids were thinking about weekend plans, Camille was already dreaming bigger dreams. She wanted to make a difference, and she knew education was her ticket out of ordinary life. After finishing high school, Camille didn't stop. She pushed forward and enrolled at the University of the West Indies, studying at both the St. Augustine campus and Cave Hill in Barbados. In 1983, she earned her Bachelor of Laws degree, but becoming a lawyer wasn't easy back then, especially for a young woman in the Caribbean. She had to prove herself again and again, so she went to Jamaica and attended the Norman Manley Law School, one of the toughest law schools in the region. In 1985, she got her legal education certificate and was admitted to the Trinidad and Tobago bar that same year. At just 27 years old, Camille was now a qualified attorney, ready to take on the world. But Camille wasn't satisfied with just practicing law in some quiet office. She wanted more. She wanted to change the system from the inside. In 1992, everything changed for her. At 33 years old, she was appointed to the Senate, and just days later, on January 9, 1992, she became the Minister of Information. This was huge. She was the youngest senator ever appointed to the cabinet in Trinidad and Tobago's history. People were shocked. Some doubted her. They said she was too young, too inexperienced. But Camille didn't care about the noise. She got to work and proved everyone wrong. She showed that age doesn't matter when you have vision, dedication, and the will to serve your people. Her political career took off like a rocket. In 1994, she was moved to the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, where she fought for everyday citizens who were being cheated by unfair business practices. She made sure people got value for their money. She stood up for the little guy, and people loved her for it. But 1995 was the real turning point. That year, she ran for a seat in the House of Representatives for Aruca South and won. She was no longer just a senator appointed by someone else. She was now elected by the people, and that gave her even more power and legitimacy. Her constituents believed in her, and she promised to never let them down. Between 2001 and 2003, Camille served as Minister of Legal Affairs, overseeing the country's entire legal system. This was a massive responsibility, but she handled it with grace and intelligence. Then in 2003, she made history again. She became the Minister of Planning and Development, the first woman to ever hold this position not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but in the entire Caribbean community, known as CARICOM. Think about that for a second. In a region where men dominated politics for decades, Camille broke through and took one of the most important jobs in government. She was now in charge of planning the country's future, deciding where money would be spent, what projects would be built, and how Trinidad would develop over the next decade. She helped create Vision 2020, a development plan that aimed to make Trinidad and Tobago a developed nation by the year 2020. She worked day and night, pushing forward projects that would improve infrastructure, create jobs, and boost the economy, but politics is never a smooth ride. In 2007, her party lost the election, and Camille found herself out of government. Instead of sulking or complaining, she took a different path. She was appointed as Trinidad and Tobago's High Commissioner to Canada, a prestigious diplomatic position. From 2007 to 2010, she lived in Ottawa, representing her country on the international stage. She built relationships with Canadian officials, promoted trade between the two countries, and made sure Trinidad's voice was heard in North America. This experience taught her about foreign policy, international relations, and the importance of diplomacy. It made her a more well-rounded leader. When she returned to Trinidad in 2010, the political landscape had changed. Her party, the People's National Movement, was in opposition. But Camille didn't give up. In 2012, she was appointed as a temporary senator, and in 2013, she became a full senator and leader of opposition business in the Senate. This meant she was the one leading the charge against the government, holding them accountable, asking tough questions, and making sure they didn't get away with corruption or incompetence. She was fierce in the Senate, known for her sharp tongue and her ability to dismantle weak arguments. People started calling her the Quintessential A because she always brought her A game to every debate. Then in September 2015, everything changed again. The People's National Movement won the general election, and Camille was elected as the Member of Parliament for Arouca/Maloney. But this time, she wasn't just another minister. She was made the leader of the House, the first woman in Trinidad and Tobago's history to hold this position. As leader of the House, she controlled the legislative agenda. She decided what bills would be debated, when they would be voted on, and how the government's business would be conducted. She was essentially the right hand of the Prime Minister in Parliament. This was power at the highest level. On top of being leader of the House, she was also reappointed as Minister of Planning and Development, the same position she held before. She stayed in this role from 2015 to 2022, a 7-year period where she oversaw billions of dollars in government spending. She worked on Vision 3030, the updated version of the country's development plan. She lobbied for better roads, better schools, better hospitals. She fought for her constituency, making sure Arouca/Maloney got its fair share of government projects. She brought water to communities that had been dry for years. She got roads paved that had been full of potholes for decades. She made sure street lights were installed so people could walk safely at night. Her constituents loved her because she delivered results, not just promises. But Camille wasn't just focused on her constituency, she was also a major player in regional politics. In January 2016, she was appointed as the governor of the Caribbean Development Bank, a position she still holds today. This bank provides loans and funding to Caribbean countries for major development projects. As governor, Camille had influence over billions of dollars in regional spending. She helped decide which projects got funded and which didn't. She worked with leaders from across the Caribbean to promote economic growth and reduce poverty. This gave her respect and influence far beyond Trinidad's borders. Between 2019 and 2020, she also served as Minister of Social Development and Family Services, a challenging role that put her in charge of welfare programs, child protection services, and support for vulnerable families. She had to deal with issues like domestic violence, child abuse, poverty, and unemployment. It was emotionally draining work, but Camille never shied away from tough challenges. She visited communities, met with struggling families, and worked to improve the social safety net. She knew that a country can only be strong if it takes care of its weakest members. In March 2022, she was moved again, this time to the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. For the next 3 years, she worked to solve Trinidad's housing crisis. Thousands of families were living in substandard conditions, waiting years for government housing. Camille pushed for faster construction, better planning, and more affordable homes. She visited housing projects, met with contractors, and made sure the work was getting done. By the time she left this ministry in March 2025, thousands of families had received new homes, and many more were on the waiting list with approved applications. Then on March 17, 2025, Prime Minister Keith Rowley made a surprising move. He appointed Camille Robinson-Regis as Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs. This was a return to the legal field where she started her career 40 years earlier. As Attorney General, she was now the government's chief legal advisor, responsible for all legal matters affecting the state. She had to make sure government actions were constitutional, defend the government in court, and oversee the legal system. But here's where things get interesting. Her time as Attorney General was very short. On April 30, 2025, just 6 weeks after her appointment, she was replaced by John Jeremy. The reasons for this quick change were never fully explained, but political insiders suggest it had to do with internal party politics and the Prime Minister's desire to reshuffle his team. Despite this setback, Camille remains a powerful figure in Trinidad politics. She's still the Member of Parliament for Arouca/Maloney, still the Governor of the Caribbean Development Bank, and still the Lady Vice Chairman of the People's National Movement. She also chairs the party's disciplinary committee, which means she has the power to punish party members who break the rules or embarrass the party. This makes her one of the most feared people within the PAM. Nobody wants to end up in front of Camille's disciplinary committee. Now let's talk about her personal life. Because behind every powerful politician is a family that supports them. On August 10, 1991, Camille married Fritz Hudson Regis, and they've been together ever since. That's over 30 years of marriage, which is impressive considering how demanding her political career has been. Fritz has been her rock, supporting her through elections, defeats, victories, and everything in between. Together they have 3 daughters. One of their daughters is an attorney at law, following in her mother's footsteps. They also have twin daughters who are making their own mark in the world. Camille is not just a politician, she's a mother, a wife, and a grandmother. She somehow balances her demanding political career with family life, which is no easy feat. When she's not in parliament or at cabinet meetings, Camille has some surprising hobbies. She loves fishing, something she picked up years ago and still enjoys. There's something peaceful about being out on the water, away from the noise of politics. She also studies French, practices singing, does weight training, and goes for long walks. These hobbies keep her grounded and help her deal with the stress of political life. She's also a charter member of the San Juan Lions Club and volunteers as a counselor for the Family Planning Association. She's a member of the Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago, maintaining her connection to the legal profession even while serving in politics. But Camille's career hasn't been without controversy. In 2022, she was accused of using racist rhetoric against Indo-Trinidadians, the East Indian population of Trinidad. This caused a huge backlash, with opposition politicians and community leaders calling her out. Camille denied the accusations, saying her words were taken out of context. But the damage was done, and it showed that even the most experienced politicians can make mistakes that hurt their reputation. She also has had ongoing political battles with opposition leader Camille Robinson-Regis, Trinidad's first female prime minister. The 2 women have clashed repeatedly in parliament, with heated exchanges that have made headlines. Some people love the drama, while others wish the 2 most powerful women in Trinidad politics could work together instead of fighting. There's also been talk about Camille's wealth. Some sources claim her net worth is around $12 million, though this figure has never been officially confirmed. If true, this would make her one of the wealthiest politicians in Trinidad. The money likely comes from her long political career, her legal practice before entering politics, investments, and possibly real estate. In Trinidad, politicians earn decent salaries, and someone at Camille's level, with her experience in multiple ministerial positions, would have earned well over the years. Add to that allowances, benefits, and pensions, and it's not hard to see how she could have accumulated significant wealth over 35 years. Recently, Camille had a planned medical procedure and has been recovering. According to recent reports, she's expected to resume her full duties in January 2026. Even at 66 years old, she's not ready to retire. She still has work to do, promises to keep, and a legacy to protect. She's been in active politics since 1975, when she first joined the PAM as a young activist. That's nearly 50 years of political involvement. She's seen governments come and go, leaders rise and fall, and her country go through good times and bad. Through it all, she's remained standing, still fighting, still relevant. Camille Robinson-Regis represents something important in Caribbean politics. She's proof that women can succeed in a male-dominated field. She's proof that you don't need to come from wealth or privilege to make it to the top. Her legacy will be remembered for generations. She was the first woman leader of the House, the first woman Minister of Planning and Development in CARICOM, the youngest cabinet minister in Trinidad's history, a high commissioner, an attorney general, a mother, a wife, a lawyer, a fighter. She's been called many things, both good and bad. But nobody can deny her impact on Trinidad and Tobago. The roads that were built, the houses that were constructed, the policies that were implemented, the laws that were passed, all bear her fingerprints. She shaped her country in ways both big and small, and her influence will be felt long after she finally decides to retire. Hit subscribe to discover more untold stories of powerful Caribbean leaders who changed history.